station KMET, its management, employees, or affiliates.
It's time to steer the line.
Touchdown!
Sports betting, fantasy football, and the latest NFL news. Featuring Loud Esmond, Christian Giordani, Rocky Giordani, and Jeremy James. Bet on us to make you a better better.
What?
Let's get ready to steer the line.
Good afternoon, folks. Welcome to Steer Line. I'm your host, Christian Giordani, and we have Mr. Jeremy James with us today. How are you doing, Jeremy?
Doing good, Christian. I swear I'm going to edit that intro so we have multiple ones for whoever's actually showing up to the show.
Yeah.
And then they'll be introduced properly because Rocky and Loud are not with us today.
No, not with us today. And we're in the dog days of the NFL season, man. You know, not a lot of news going around.
You got
around the corner.
Yeah, you got OTAs and mini camps going on and a few little news tidbits here and there. But yeah, this is really the slow time of the NFL season. Not a lot to. This is the time when like the NFL shows on ESPN and the network start talking to players about, you know, their favorite vacationing spots and stuff, you know, because they got nothing else going on.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, with very little NFL news, we do have the Vikings released running back Dalvin Cook to get his contract off their payroll. A lot of teams are looking for him. Most favorite teams are the Rams or the Chargers. He says he's looking to be somewhere south.
See, I hadn't heard the Rams or Chargers. Those are interesting spots. I mean, what an upgrade for the Rams. That would be a huge get. Can they afford him, though? Do they have that kind of money on the books right now?
Yeah, they have some money on the books. They have around 7.5. They can move some guys around. It looks like Cam Akers is going to be gone before the season starts. So that running back position is going to be very much open. And I doubt Darrell Henderson is going to keep it consistent, have a consistent, good enough year to stay as the number one running back on the chart.
Yeah, no, that would be. Dalvin Cook's a big get for any team, really. Most of what I've heard him linked to are contenders, obviously, and a few other teams here and there. But an upgrade for sure. I don't understand, really why Minnesota's doing this. I mean, I know they're trying to save some money, but 4,000-yard seasons. He's 27 years old. He's had a couple of injuries here and there, but he is still a 1,200-yard back and double-digit touchdown guy in the right offense. And yeah, I mean that's there's probably 20 teams that he would be an upgrade in their running back situation. So he'll be able to get some good money and go somewhere, and he's still got plenty left in the tank.
Now, what's a team you would really like to see him on?
I'd like to see him play with his brother in Buffalo. The Cook brothers, both running backs in Buffalo, because they could use it for sure. There's also some other teams I thought were interesting, like Miami, I heard. And they have definitely a committee, there in Miami, but he's the kind of guy that can go in and, lead that committee with 200 carries, save himself a little bit on wear and tear. But I don't know, there's some interesting teams out there, but I don't know why I keep saying contenders in the AFC. It doesn't do any good for the Raiders to have all of these good players come to the AFC. So, you know what? I want to see him go to the Rams. Let's go to the Rams and let him just do it there. So that's fine with me.
Yeah, well, a team that has been favorite to get Dalvin Cook is someone in your division, the Broncos, who also just signed another veteran guy, another Super Bowl two-time champ, Frank Clark, to a 1-year minimum deal.
Yeah, I don't know what Frank has in the tank anymore, but as a rotational guy, and that's probably what he's going to be at this point, not a bad guy to bring in to rush the passer a few times a game here and there. But, their interest in Dalvin Cook, I understand it because he's a huge upgrade over most running backs, but they also have the young guy coming off the injury, Levante Williams, Levante, something like that, or Javante, I forget his name, but talented kid, was running really well until he got hurt. But I'd hate to see him in Denver. I'd hate to see him in Kansas City or in San Diego. And San Diego's already got a great running back, so I don't know what Dalvin's
we'll see how long he'll keep him there in San Diego. There's a lot of talk about him wanting to be out, them not wanting to pay him. So, Moving on, you got any news for the NFL, Jeremy? Anything else?
I mean, not a whole lot of news, like we said, but still floating around out there is wide receiver, who's why his name just blank on me all of a sudden. But of course it did. DeAndre Hopkins, thank you. There we go.
Yes.
DeAndre Hopkins. He's actually taken visits. He visited with the Titans first, which I thought was an interesting choice. And now he's got a visit, I believe, today or tomorrow with New England, who could definitely use him. They don't really have a whole lot at wide receiver on the Patriots, and it would also reunite him with his former head coach. And, the offensive coordinator in New England now is what's his name? Brian O.
Lost his name.
Yeah,
too.
but I've noticed, people saying, oh, they'd be back together again. He's running the offense, but you also got to remember he's a guy that traded him away for, a beat up running back and a bag of chips. So I don't know if he's going to want to play for that guy anymore. I don't know. Stupid how his name escapes me, but so I don't, DeAndre is going to take his time. The fact that he's taking visits with teams like the Titans and New England, maybe, winning a Super Bowl this year isn't the number one thing on his list. Maybe he is just looking for a place to play or make some decent money. But, I've also heard him linked to Cleveland. He hasn't visited there yet, but I don't know.
2 other facilities he's visiting that he said he would be in Jacksonville and the Texans.
Okay, yeah. So Jacksonville. Wow. I mean, they're pretty loaded at wide receiver. That would be an embarrassment of riches for those guys. Almost putting him on the other side of
Christian Kirk.
Well, not just Christian Kirk, but the former Falcon who they signed. When he was he's going to be their number one receiver.
Calvin Ridley.
Calvin Ridley. There you go. Yeah. So I mean, Hopkins and Ridley, along with Christian Kirk and Zay Jones and their tight end and Ingram. I mean, you want to talk about giving Trevor Lawrence more weapons than he could probably even handle. There are not enough balls to go around for all that, but couldn't blame him for trying. I mean, definitely, kind of player that would put them over the top.
I love that fit. Honestly, a good veteran quarterback because Christian Kirk and we just said his name.
And it's already
it's already gone. Calvin Ridley.
Calvin Ridley. There we go.
Young receivers. It would be nice to have a Pro Bowl vet on that team to really steer them in the right direction.
Yeah, and there's still teams out there that if they can afford him or make the money happen, contenders that would put him over the top. And I don't know. I keep hearing Cleveland rumblings, and I think that's also a possibility. In Cleveland, he's got his former quarterback who, he had great years with, despite, not winning a lot of games in Houston. They put up big numbers together. And, if anybody could help, a bounce back season in Cleveland for
Deshaun,
bringing him in along with Amari Cooper. They already got Njoku at tight end and a great running game. He would be a big get for Cleveland and can really, I think, make them legit contenders in the AFC this year.
But would they be able to afford him? Is that the biggest problem?
I don't know. All that money they gave to
Deshaun, you're owing
Deshaun
$52 million to Deshaun next year. It's going to be tough to find some cap space.
It definitely would be. I don't know what their cap number is like right now. I don't know where they're listed.
It's lower. It's lower than most teams.
I mean, if he's just looking for money, why isn't he knocking on the door of Chicago? They got $33 million still on the books. They could just start forking over a bunch of cash. Hey, come play for us. I mean, I know they got a number one guy in that trade with Carolina, but not a number one like DeAndre Hopkins. So, I mean, again, a team like Chicago that maybe is on the up and up, has the money to spend, that division could be wide open with the big changes in Green Bay, and now Dalvin Cook's gone from Minnesota. Who knows what it's going to be like in the NFC North.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be surprised if one of those teams jumped on him to try to give themselves an edge.
I would really love to see the Lions get him. I love him on Monroe St. Brown. I think he's a legit number one. DeAndre Hopkins on the Lions would push them even more as a contender for the playoffs. I think they would have a chance to win that division if they could bulk up their defense a little bit alongside DeAndre Hopkins as well.
Yeah, I think right now, looking at the North, it's probably, unless something else happens, probably a battle between Detroit and Minnesota. Minnesota, won a lot of games surprisingly last season. They've got offensive talent, and they got a middling defense. That was obviously enough to get them through the NFC North. But I'd like to see Detroit win the North. That'd be awesome. They've struggled for so long. I love the coach. I just love the grit of that team and the whole personality of them. So I would love to see them have some success.
I will as well. And another running back. A lot of people are talking about Ezekiel Elliott has not got a single offer all off season long.
No, and I thought maybe Dalvin would be a possibility in Dallas, because they had like having a 1-2 punch. But I have a feeling that's his only real spot. I think Dallas will continue to not bring anybody else in at running back. And as training camp comes up, I think, maybe on just like a 1-year deal, maybe something like that, that they could bring in, that they would probably bring him back in and, run him down again. He doesn't have a lot left in the tank, I don't think. But I think going back to Dallas for a year is probably his best bet right now.
Yeah, I totally agree. Mr. Loud Esmond, how nice of you to join us.
Great to be here. I'm sorry. I went into my mailbox because I was sure my jersey was arriving today. That Saints jersey that, I was supposed to get at the end of the XFL season. But, apparently it was a false alarm. So it just took me a little while longer to get back from the mailbox than expected.
It's like a little kid who ordered something and can't wait for it to come in the mail. I'm going to check it every day.
Well, I just keep assuming that you guys have taken care of it. And, apparently
we don't got Rocky. We ain't got Rocky's part of the money.
Nope.
All right. Okay. Here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to pay Rocky's share, and I will collect from him.
Wow, he really wants that ugly jersey.
Wow.
I will pay Rocky's share, and I will collect from him. But, I would love to next Friday when we do the show be representing in the Saints jersey. So we'll just Christian, you arrange it. I'll send my money wherever I have to.
All right.
Just let me know. Betting notes. USFL this weekend, it has been a little bit wacky. Panthers Maulers, I like over 41.5 in that game. And then you have the two of the best teams, the Breakers and the Showboats, taking each other on. And this is very strange because the Showboats opened the season 0-3. They were the worst team in the USFL by far. They've run off 4 or 5 straight wins. And then the New Orleans Breakers opened the season like 3-0, 4-0, and all they've done is lose until last week. They picked up a win again finally. So those two teams meet each other. I like the Showboats -1.5. They, I think, have the most dominant defensive line in USFL, so I like them in that matchup. Stallions and the Gamblers, it's a big number for the USL, 45.5. I'm going to take the under there. And then the Stars of Philadelphia with Case Cookus at QB take on the Generals in the final game of the weekend, and that is going to be Stars. I believe are going to win that game. I think they're going to cover the -2.5. A little general betting rule for me when it comes to if a team that is the team that is better, in my opinion, and should win, is -2.5 or less. In other words, meaning a field goal or less. I'm going to take them and the points because you're going to get a little more value there rather than the money line. And I think betting the money line, if you're minus like 1 55 on the money line, or you can be minus 115 at minus 2.5 taking the spread. I'm going to take the spread because there's more value there because I think the better team is going to win by more than 3. Okay, there's a USFL betting update. I'm representing, wait, there it is, the Golden Knights, as you can see. Jeremy, you're a hockey fan, but I guess once the Kings are out, you don't watch that much, huh?
No, I do enjoy hockey on a level, but I am really a Kings fan, so I watch Kings games. Follow once they're out of the playoffs. I'm unfortunately usually done with the playoffs too. Yeah, there's just no other. It's not like football for me. I don't have a fantasy team, no one to follow or anything like that. Once my team's done, I'm done.
So the Knights lost in overtime to the Panthers in the. Was that the first or the second game in Florida? Okay, so it's 2-1. That's right. Yeah. Okay. So Golden Knights 2, Florida Panthers 1. They get the overtime win. I like the Knights.
Crazy game.
Oh,
Crazy game.
A lot of hitting. Oh my goodness. Who's the guy for the Panthers that got knocked out of the game momentarily? Marchand? No, he's Golden Knights. Kerchuk, who is a hitter, man. He got hammered. I forget who crushed him on the Knights, but he got crushed, and he had to leave the game. He was out for most of the first period.
That's why you got to love playoff hockey.
Yeah.
The intensity they play with is just on a whole other level.
Yeah, it seems like they're skating faster than they possibly could. You know what I mean?
Shooting harder, skating faster, hitting harder, everything. It's just it's so different. Playoff hockey is fantastic.
I love playoff hockey. Okay. Like the Golden Knights to win that series, Jeremy.
Yeah, from what I know of the Golden Knights and what little I've seen of them in the season.
Well, they're up 2-1.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Florida.
Yeah, they got the next game is in Florida and then back into Vegas. I think they'll go back to Vegas and they'll be up, 3-1 and then probably wrap up the series in that first game back. So
it's a best of 7 games, right?
Yeah, and they're up 2-1. I get 2 more games, and I think the series will be done.
You know what I say? Momentum. Those Panthers have not died out yet. I really like that Florida Panthers team.
The bubble sort of got burst. If the Panthers had won one of the games in Vegas, I'd be with you, Christian. But they got hammered both games in Vegas. I mean, it wasn't close. It was like 5-2 and 7-3 or something in the first 2 games. And then they needed overtime to beat them on home ice. And Vegas had chances to win that game. That it was just like there was a invisible force field around the goal. It would hit the post. It would just miss. It would go off a stick. The Knights were peppering the goal. They just couldn't score. And so is it the Panthers suddenly got much better in that game? No. And look, they're an 8 seed. I know that they're here, but they're an 8 seed. And there's a reason why they're an 8 seed. And the same way I feel about the Miami Heat. Yeah, it's cute. It's nice to have an 8 seed in, but the Nuggets are just better. I mean, the Nuggets crushed them in the last game.
Yeah. I will give you that one.
Do you think, Jeremy, Jokic has a chance to be the best center of all time?
Who?
Why are you asking me?
I'm sorry, Jokic. The Joker.
I haven't watched a
You're a huge NBA basketball fan.
I haven't watched a basketball game since Shaq and Kobe still played together. I mean, so yeah, I couldn't tell you.
Pulling your leg. Anyway, DeAndre Hopkins. Any news?
Yeah, we just talked on D-Hop. He visited the Patriots facility.
I missed it.
He visited the Titans facility. We were talking about some good fits for him. Dalvin Cook's gone as well. So we got all the NFL news out of the way.
All right. So where did you guys say that you think Dalvin Cook is going to go?
Jeremy?
I mean, there's a number of teams that could use him. Christian mentioned a couple of teams that were, I guess, his name's been attached to that I had not heard. looking to head south, I guess, and stay warm. Talking about the Rams and the Chargers, looking at LA. But
I heard Miami.
Yeah, Miami's been one that I've heard a lot. There other teams have been connected to him here and there. Anybody that needs a running back or any team that's a contender that has room for him has been mentioned. But
Buffalo Bills were mentioned. I mean, the Bills do still have not a great running game. They drafted a running back.
Oh yeah, but I mean, Buffalo's one of the spots I thought he'd be great in. Have him and his brother running that backfield together. The Cook brothers in Buffalo would be a lot of fun to watch, I think, and they'd probably enjoy it as well. Could help push Buffalo over the edge a little bit.
I said he was going to Denver.
And has he visited anybody? Are there any visits scheduled? Christian, you know this stuff.
Nothing so far. He just got released earlier today.
Yeah, his release came official, at like 1:00 Eastern, 4:00 our time.
What does it say? I mean, Dalvin Cook has been to 4 straight Pro Bowls.
Yeah, 27 years
released.
old. They're trying to clear some cap space to make some moves next offseason.
It's a lack of respect for the position.
Mm-hmm.
There's just the running backs get no love or respect in the league anymore. They run them till they think they're done. This kid's 27 years old.
Well, look at Todd Gurley. He's 27 years old and he's out of the league.
Yeah, but but Dalvin with a few injuries has not had the major injuries and beat up like Gurley was. He's still got a lot of juice in him. 4,000-yard seasons.
He's a Gurley man.
Yeah, I think Dalvin's got plenty to go. Someone could sign him to a 4-year deal and probably get a good 4 years out of it. So,
yeah, the position has been completely devalued. I think that's kind of crazy. And in a world where the passing game is king, I get it. But man, isn't he a top 10 running back in your opinion, Christian?
Top 7, man. He's out there, yeah.
So, I mean, it's crazy to me that he's out there. DeAndre Hopkins, I get. He's older. I get that. But this guy being
27.
undervalued the way that he is crazy to me.
With people not wanting to pay for the position, though, they'd rather just, sign someone cheaper for a year or draft a young guy. And again, run him until that 4th year or 5th year option is done and move on. No one wants to pay a running back $30+ million anymore to be the guy.
Well, I guess
give him some money though.
Yeah, I think in the case of DeAndre Hopkins, do you think it's okay? Let me throw this out there. He said he wanted to play for a team that had a chance to win a Super Bowl, and it wasn't about the money. And now the one team he's meeting with is the Tennessee Titans. Does any believe Tennessee is a Super Bowl threat?
No, and he met with the Patriots as well. So, no, I think his options are wide open. I think he's just looking where he can go play. And, I mean, Tennessee would be the last place I would think of for a quarterback and a chance to win. But I think he's just taking his time, going to look around. He'll probably look into training camp so he doesn't have to go to training camp for as long. And he's a veteran who's going to take it.
I think both of them are probably going to be picked up late in training camp when somebody loses a running back and somebody loses. It happens every year, right?
It does, unfortunately.
I think 2 or 3 teams every year lose a top running back or a top receiver in training camp. So, that may be the way to go. By the way,
I was just a quick note. I was going to say 2 teams that are very interested in where he signs and what his deal is like: the New York Giants and the Las Vegas Raiders, because they both got top 10 running backs,
Saquon and Josh,
under who have not signed their tags yet. So this is going to
if Dalvin Cook gets lowballed, then those 2 teams have good negotiating positions with their running backs.
Yep.
If he gets a big deal somewhere, then that changes the market.
Absolutely.
Jeremy, you're going to give us a special report next week. Can you explain what that's going to be?
Yeah, with all the rumblings about what might possibly happen with Jimmy G in Vegas if he can't play, if he's not ready for training camp or the season, if they move on from him. I was going to do a little deep dive, and I've been looking at what quarterbacks could possibly be available via free agency or trade for the Raiders should they have to move on. And I was going to put that together and throw that at you guys next week. Just a little fun off season.
Are you reviewing any XFL and USFL quarterbacks?
I got one on my list. Yes. One I mentioned before. He's actually a former Raider. I'll talk more about him next week.
So next week, Jeremy is going to lay out for us when it turns out that Jimmy G's injury is going to keep him from being able to play, and they're going to have to put Brian Hoyer in at quarterback. They're going to be desperate for somebody else, and Jeremy's going to run down who the options are. By the way, the Raiders' under number moved from under 7.5 to under 6.5. Get it before it's 4. At the end of training camp, the Raiders over-under will be 4.5 games. I'm going to go put some money on it next weekend when I'm near a casino, and it will be significant. I am hammering the under for the Raiders. Just throwing it out there. Christian, take us out.
All right. I think the Raiders tank for Caleb Williams next season, but that's that. We are Steer the Line, and we will see you guys next week.